right, welcome to the Penfield Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting. It's Tuesday, May 9th, at 6 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. And does anybody have additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? I emailed it out. Everything looks good?
I just have some comments that I wanted to make about the discourse.
Yeah, we can probably talk about that when we get to Penfield Parks update. We'll discuss that. Thank you. Moving on to approval of minutes from April 11th. Thank you, Don, for getting those out so quickly and detailed. Are there any updates or changes after reviewing the minutes? No? Awesome. So the minutes are approved. Thank you, Don, for doing those. On to discussion for the Parks and Rec Advisory Board positions review. At the first meeting, we had discussed, and I had emailed out as well, just looking for a chairperson, a vice chairperson, someone to take meeting notes. I reached out to the group for anybody that was interested. Typically, town board would appoint these at the beginning of the year, but because we started a little bit late into April and May, anybody that's kind of willing to do to this point, we're just going to approve. So we did hear from a couple people who have that interest. Sri is interested in being the vice chairperson and then talked into being the chairperson. Yes. So as long as everybody approves of that, we're excited to have her as the chairperson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to her leading meetings and guiding the group and not me as much. I'm sure everyone can applaud that as well. And then we had Don Hoyler interested in being the vice chairperson and working with Sri and myself to create agendas and things like that. And he's also interested in taking the notes since he did such a wonderful job last meeting. So
I kind of figured that was coming.
Thank you both. Thank you both for that as well.
Paid twice as much.
Yeah, I get paid.
Some other positions that we talked about, the Clark Barn Advisory Board was looking for a member from our group to be on that group, or to be on that committee. Sri is also doing that as well, so thank you for doing that. The first meeting for the Clark Barn Advisory Board is this upcoming Monday, May 15th. So if there are any comments, from our group, pass it along to her and she can be our advisory to the committee. And one last thing, when we're looking at the group, I know we're going to get into it later when we talk about the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, but I do think we've started to take resumes and gauge interest from people who are interested in being in the Parks and Rec Master Plan update, which will start in May, June of this year and work all the way until early 2024 to present to the board our master plan. If there's anybody that's on this advisory board that's interested in advising the rec master plan, it certainly would be helpful to have someone at the monthly meetings for that as a part of the board. But essentially, no matter what, once the master plan starts to come together, it still will be presented up here before approvals and things like that, before it gets to the board, just for everybody to review it. But again, it would be nice to have at least one person. So if you are interested, please reach out to me and let me know of your interest. The hope would be, like I said, to start meeting in May or June, depending on when we get all the applicants. But ultimately, most likely have a monthly meeting where we meet, most likely in the fall, have a community input survey in person and do one online as well. So monthly meeting, maybe in the fall, 2 meetings, over at the community center, stuff like that. So again, if you're interested, let me know. So Penfield Trails Committee update. Bob, I know you guys...
Sorry to interrupt. You also, last meeting, talked about a Friends of Penfield liaison?
Yep.
Also?
We're still working on a Friends of Penfield Rec 501c3 startup again. COVID was when we filed all the paperwork from the town, and we've tried during this time to have meetings, and unfortunately some people have moved away, some people have lost interest in being a part of that. My hope is once this advisory board gets started up, hopefully over the summer, start to reconnect with some of the people from the Friends of Penfield Rec and get that established.
Okay.
The next phase for where we're at is really just creating a bank account, but we need to have meetings and official board people approve all that stuff before the bank will write that off. So again, it's been a couple of years of trying to push this forward, but once this is established, Friends of Penfield Rec will hopefully be established, get that bank account, and then I'd probably ask for someone from there to join these meetings as an advisory board member, just to give the board updates from that.
Okay.
Cool. So Penfield Trails Committee update, Bob.
Well, first, we had a very successful hike on April 8th at Thousand Acre Swamp, probably one of the largest groups. Took a good 2 hours, I believe, Don, and
Solid 2 hours.
so that was very well received from the people I talked to. Just a reminder, we have an upcoming hike this Saturday at Harris Wayland. That will be definitely shorter than the 2 hours because it's not a big park. I did give to everybody who didn't have one the schedule. I encourage you to attend the hikes as much as you can. A lot of fun. This past Saturday, just the Trails Committee, not as an official guided hike, we did a sort of a recon mission trying to search for a new trail from Ellison Park over to Lucian Warren. And it turned out to be a fun hike. We went under the bridge on Browncroft and then walked on Browncroft Boulevard, which I would not recommend as a permanent guided hike path. And then along what I think we all thought was Tryon Park, but it turns out it's Lucian Warren Park, a ways in there. And very interesting place. Things I'd never seen, even though I have grown up and lived within 3 miles of that my whole life. So,
Interesting.
couple updates regarding the bridge need repairs for Channing Philbrook Park. I had a long discussion with Debbie Draw last Thursday about it, and I think she was going to talk to you, Tim. I don't know if you have any updates.
Yep, we are, Joe Parkins and I, he is the deputy director for the DPW. We're meeting with a group that installed that one aluminum bridge down there. We're meeting them down there tomorrow at 8 a.m. So we're actually getting the company, or meeting the company that put in the other one. So we're going to get some numbers from them, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. And Don, I'll let you talk about what you've done with Nature Conservative.
Right, so we had talked about looking into connecting Rothfuss to Thousand Acre Swamp, and we talked about that at the last meeting, and that got to the town board, and Debbie Draw asked that we request a letter of support from the TNC folks before we do anything internally, and so I requested that, and they came through with that today, and so I forwarded that to probably everybody. And so we have that. Debbie had also mentioned that she might want a letter of support from both the Trails Committee and the Advisory Board. I'm not sure she needs that, but if she does, we can easily get that done. And I think it's on the agenda. She said if we got this letter from the TNC, that she'd put it on the town board working meeting agenda for, I think that's next week, Candace? Yeah. So TNC continues to, provide their support. It's non-binding. They still need funding internally for the next fiscal year, but very responsive and they're very good to work with.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense from what you said to connect that, and they're all for it, and it sounds like they're doing the majority of the work behind it other than us connecting it on our end. So
And she did tell me she is following up with RG&E on the easement question that you raised.
Yep.
So she has factored that into their discussion.
Good.
I was curious, and I haven't been up the road in a while, but is there a crosswalk? Like, would it be safe? Is it a relatively safe path to go from this park, start at this park, and then walk up the road and then cross the street into the conservatory, and then down into the other park and achieve some connectivity there?
I don't think there are any crosswalks on Jackson, are there?
So there is a crosswalk right I forget the name of the street. It's right before the DPW.
The street that goes up.
Yes. It's like Springside.
So,
It's south of the DPW.
and then is there a sidewalk on that side?
It kind of crisscrosses. Like you go to the DPW, then it goes across the street, and then it stops right across from the Nature Conservatory on the other side of the street. So
Because that'd be really
There's
cool.
not like a straight path to
Just
get
for like a connectivity
Yeah, no, you're
standpoint, park at one park and then be able to go to,
All the
you
way
know,
through to
all-
Rothfuss.
all the way through, yeah.
When this happens.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, the idea of long trails like that, that's sort of what got us into looking last Saturday was, we believe there's a way to walk safely from the Perrington line in Channing Philbrook Park all the way to Empire Boulevard without crossing any major dangerous streets. That's what we got to sort of map out and confirm. That includes the new sidewalk up Penfield Road to get to the Ellison Park entrance off of Penfield Road. But that's what we're looking at. Okay, what would that long hike be? I tried to figure it out. It looks like it's maybe in the 8 to 10 mile as a continuous path. So that's.
I'll have to try.
And I know what we've talked about at the Trails Committee, and I think we talked about it at our last meeting as well, is kind of starting to review some of the trails that we have in town. How can we connect other parks? How can we make them more multi-use trails with the upcoming potential mountain bike course at Shadow Pines on the south side? You know, looking at how our trail system, you know, has been established, how can we make it more multi-use for walkers, hikers, bikers, and all of those things? So obviously the connectivity between parks for our trail system will be huge. So I think that's awesome that the Trails Committee is doing those things and looking to connect and also establish some of those trails within our parks. So, awesome. Any other updates from Trails Committee? Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Next thing for discussion, Penfield Parks update. I know Steve has some stuff to talk about with the disc golf, but I thought we'd at least start with Tim with some updates. I know it's the spring season and pretty busy. So any updates from the Parks Department?
Yep, we've just completed, there was a big lacrosse tournament over held on the high school grounds. We lined all the fields for them with our new robotic field painter. That would usually take us a whole week to do. We had one employee do it in a day, and that was like about 12 to 13 fields that we lined. So that was a plus. We're still working on the tee boxes over at the disc golf course, and the rain hampered us all last week, but we're back on it this week. The amphitheater should be going up in the next couple weeks. That's a big project that our Parks Department does. And the two softball fields on Columbus Crossing, they should be starting the bathroom project there sometime soon. They should be bringing in materials to start building that up. So that's just right up the street here.
Yeah, I think the batting cage was recently taken down on Columbus Crossing, and the reason for that is to have a fenced-in area for when they're starting the construction, which could be, you know, within weeks, if not days.
Where's Columbus Crossing?
Right out here between the two softball fields, the road that connects. So there's a bathroom facility that's going to be put right in between both of the softball fields. Gotcha. We typically get a portable restroom every year. If you drive out that way, you'll see it. It's a handicapped one, so it will be nice to start to have some actual bathroom facilities down there for people that are at the Little League complex, but a little further away from the Rosie's bathroom, which is located on the other side of the property. Any other parks updates from the Parks Department?
That's all I got right now.
Tim? So last meeting, we talked about, you know, the crosswalk.
Yes.
in Clark. Is any
So I
going
did talk to our director, and he's part of the transportation committee. They are going to stripe it this year, and they're going to mention about the flashing lights and stuff like that. So it should be striped this year when they stripe all the other oil and stone roads.
Okay, that's a good first step for sure.
Good. Anything else? Steve, did you want to mention what you had brought up before?
Sure. First thing I wanted to do is basically just get information out there about how successful the disc course has been at Shadow Pines. It was put up in August 2022, or at least that's when the baskets were put in. And I've got some statistics and a couple of interesting points. The person I got the stats from, Jason Rock Phelps, is the ambassador to the town for the disc course. He's also one of the designers. And then another individual, David Kopp, who's the president of the Greater Rochester Disc Group Club, Disc Golf Club. He was also a co-designer. I just want to give a shout out to those guys because they've done a great job, and I think they've really shown the collaboration between the town and these guys, and the great work that you guys have been able to do for the disc course. Since, well, let me just give you some stats. I think that these are really interesting because they give you an idea of how much use the course has gotten. In April alone, there were registered through a UDisc application, and UDisc really accounts for, it's the primary application that disc golfers use to kind of keep score cards and get maps and things like that of the disc courses. It's been determined that that kind of translates to about a third of the real usage for the course. So in April, there was recorded on UDisc, there were 1,267 individual rounds that were played. So if you multiply that times 3, you get about 3,800 disc golfers out there, individual players, for just the month of April. And we had some good weather and we had some bad weather. So I think it's probably a pretty good sign that that's a pretty solid number, probably going to go up from there. Since the course was opened back in August, it's been close to 8,000 players individual on UDisc, which translates to close to 24,000 players on the course. Interestingly enough, it also has some of the higher numbers in terms of unique players coming to this area. Ellison Park course, which has been around for a long time and has kind of a history and is somewhat legendary for being in this area. The Shadow Pines course has already had more unique disc golfers than Ellison Park has ever had before. So it's really good.
Is the unique disc golfers like different skill sets or from different areas?
No, these are people from different areas.
Okay,
These are new
just from out of
players.
town,
Yeah,
new play- okay.
you know, so the numbers that I gave you before, there's a lot of repeat players.
Okay.
These would be new individuals
Okay.
to the area that haven't played on that course before.
interesting.
So
Very
I
good.
think that's pretty interesting. It's rated as a 4.5 on the UDisc application for being for one of the finer courses around the area.
Out
So I
of
think
five?
it's
Assume that's
out of 5. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, 4.5 out of 5.
It doesn't like your sense of humor. You know?
Yeah.
Well, not many people do. So that's
Oh, that's great stats.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of organized events coming. I won't go through all that list right now, and I certainly will share after this presentation, or after this meeting, this presentation that I got from Jason, great numbers. So there's a number of formal events that are going to be played there. We also have some, through the group, also has some plans to be able to do some plantings. There's a number of ash trees that had to be taken down for obvious reasons. They were dead. The folks involved with the disc course want to plant more trees in certain areas, make it a little bit more challenging, also help some of the aesthetics. They have some plans for kiosks and picnic tables coming up. And I think in general, it's been a very successful venture. Can't stress enough the good work that the town has done and the nice work. There's signs that are still going to be installed. The posts have been put in. I think there's only 2 more tee pads that need to be done. It's just a great course. And any nice day, you will see probably close to 100 people from morning to night playing on that course. So I just wanted to make sure, because we've had some difficulty with trying to get into the next phase of Shadow Pines, and I think everybody needs to kind of take a breath and say, hey, you know what? This has really worked out well for the community. There's a lot of great use between the walkers and the disc golfers. I think there's a good relationship. I don't think there's been any challenges, and I think everybody's getting along pretty well. And I just want to commend the town for stepping up and doing that, and successful phase 1.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They,
good job.
you know, I know Tim, with most of the tee box development and course design, has worked with Jason and David from the organization more than I have, but certainly the organization has been wonderful to work with, and like you said, it's been a really good relationship to create these things, to, you know, if there's any issues when it first came up with, you know, people just not knowing that disc golf was out there and being aware of it from walking on it for 3 to 4 years without, you know, any disc golf there. So more signage, you know, they've been, you know, pretty much up to date on getting that information out there. And I will say that they're working, I believe in the next couple weeks, to have a large sign posted right at the first tee box. They're working with a Penfield Eagle Scout, so that's only going to help people know where the course is, what disc golf rules are. We have some of that information available in a kiosk right near it, but this will be a lot larger and dedicated to disc golf, so that'll only improve kind of the visibility for disc golf. And like you said, I know that they have some state tournaments coming up this summer and fall, so definitely some people from out of the area coming in. So
It's very exciting. I mean, we had a group in front of us the other day, and there were 5 guys, and they were all from the west side of town, and they brought some folks in from out of town just to play this course just because it was so nice.
No, that's great.
Do you know how this is affecting the other courses, like Ellison Park? Are they seeing their numbers down, or is it just
I don't
growing?
have personal statistics on that, but I've had a chance and opportunity to go to Ellison and play, and I will tell you, compared to 2 years ago, there is no line at Ellison where there used to be lines. So I think that there's a big difference. I think players are coming to Shadow Pines. They're not neglecting Ellison, but I think their first choice, if they live in this area, happens to be Shadow Pines.
That's great.
What's the process by which they get authorization for trees and kiosks and things?
Yeah, I was going to actually ask the same, and if the proposed plan, if Tim already has a copy of that.
So we haven't, and I've heard rumors of that. We haven't talked about it yet with David and Jason yet. I know they were talking about, because we had to clear out around hole number 17. We did a lot of clearing around there.
The wildflower plant potential,
Yep. So we just got to meet with them and figure out what a best plan is for their course design aesthetics, like you were talking about, and what trees are more survivable there.
Yeah.
I think that's a word.
Exactly.
But yeah.
And some of the tree plantings are obviously to enhance the course, make it a little bit more challenging on some holes. But other tree plantings planned are really for just the general aesthetics of the park and to be able to replace some of the trees that had to come down. So I think it's a good symmetry, a good combination of player benefit as well as just general benefit for the area.
Yep, and the process has mostly been working with the group and Tim and I when it came to the kiosks, and we do have an Eagle Scout that's doing the large display board. So of course, if there's Eagle Scouts out there looking for projects, we always have them potentially available. This one kind of just worked out. But with the tree plantings and stuff like that, we work with the group and kind of confirm it through the Parks Department and update the map as necessary. So,
Not to plug like a specific business or group or anything, but are there programs around for like intro to disc golf, like that kind of thing, like get more people? Like I have zero experience, and I would absolutely be willing to do it, but I'm not going to go buy the stuff and then go try and figure it out on my own.
We've offered that through the rec brochure.
Right, I think I did see something.
Before Shadow Pines was established, and we were already working with the group because they were involved with the moratorium committee, getting that information in there. So they had already kind of got into the rec department to offer programs. We were offering them at Harris Whalen. Now that Shadow Pines, and once the tee boxes are finished this spring, the hope is to offer those types of programs through their group. So just like you said, intro, beginners, they would be able to borrow the equipment and then hopefully, move on from there. But yeah,
we're fortunate in this area to have some players who have, kind of been around disc golf right from the very beginning, and really are very well-versed in being able to provide the instruction for some of these folks. So I can bring that back to the ambassadors, see if there's maybe something that the local golf club could be able to sponsor, maybe a couple of events at Shadow Pines. I think that would be a great idea. I have seen a bunch of families out there. There was a group of 8 or 9 out there on a Sunday, and they were just having a blast.
Yeah, we had talked about with the state tournament as well, if that's located on like a Friday, Saturday, the group might have a Sunday day, since everybody's in town, a family event. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an intro type of a thing, but some sort of event to attach on, having all the, the pro players and experts in. So
a community-based.
Yeah, I think those are awesome ideas to enhance and get, the community participating.
It's a low-cost way to get outside and have fun.
Yeah.
Steve, is there still that store on Landing Road that used to sell like all kinds?
Yes. Yeah, actually, I used to live on Rich's Dugway, right at the top of that street, and it's come and gone and changed hands many, many times, but my understanding is they still have a number of discs there for sale.
I remember last time I was in there, they had hundreds of different types.
There's a
Good
variety of
subs,
ways to
too,
get them.
yeah, if I recall.
Yeah. And if you go out to Shadow Pines, you might be able to find some.
I do know if you reach out to Rochester Disc Golf, they're always contact them if you're interested in learning, and they'll be able to give you demos, equipment, and things like that. So they've always told us at the rec department, if we hear anything, push it to their website to contact them. And it doesn't mean you'll get private lessons or anything, but they're certainly there to grow the sport in the
Absolutely,
community.
and
reach
it
out
is
to
a
them
sport. There's a
anytime.
high school championship that's going to be played there later this year, so it's really definitely something that's growing in interest.
And
And
it,
as soon as your leg's fixed. Yeah.
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 and it is an easy app to download, the UDisc.
Yes.
Yes, because I believe I have it on my phone too, and it's very simple. It has the map of the whole course, distances and everything. I haven't went out and played yet, but it's just an easy way to hold the hole.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's a great tool.
Yep. And I know that Jason has had input into the UDisc application in terms of changing some of the tee positions recently and some fine tuning that was done.
Yeah.
So just a great thing for Penfield. Absolutely.
Cool.
Thanks for bringing the data.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And Jason wanted to provide me with some maps of some of the things that are in here. As soon as I get the final presentation from Jason, I will send that on to everybody on the committee.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Any other parks discussion updates from the group? Okay. For Penfield Recreation update, I'll start with myself. Our summer brochure came out since our last meeting. I've got a couple here if people didn't get them at home. But ultimately, we're really excited. We actually had to expand and add 4 pages from when we typically offer our summer compared to last year. So obviously, there's way more programs in there. We have a lot of events upcoming. But ultimately, for summer 2023 programs, registration for Penfield residents begins this upcoming Monday, May 15th. For non-residents, it begins a week later on May 22nd. We recognize residents at the rec department as anyone who pays town or school taxes, so just as a heads up for that. There are some programs that I mentioned at our last meeting, our youth soccer and our summer camp program that were offered in our winter-spring brochure. That registration started back in December for those programs. I'm happy to announce, since the last meeting, that we've got a bunch of wait lists for our summer camp locations. We've just had about 15 interviews for summer camp counselors, so they finally started to come in. And we are starting to contact people that are on the wait list. We're adding 20 more campers to make it 80 total at our Scribner location. We're adding a couple more Pee-wee campers for our AM and Pee-wee, or AM and PM at Scribner location as well. And then our PCC location, we were able to get some extra staff. We're only able to add 5 based on our facility, only to have 150 at our PCC. But again, we were able to get more staff and add that. Our hope for next year, seeing the waitlist numbers, because even adding some of these, we're still in the hundreds for some of our wait lists. So obviously there's a need in the community for our summer
Has
camp.
this ever happened before with wait lists like this?
We've had wait lists in the past. We've never had it this large, and we saw a lot more early registration. We've offered it in the winter spring brochure for years and years and years, and we've had families, unfortunately, that have been in the program since their kids were very young. Unfortunately, they usually only register in March and April, and they're able to get in this year because most of our weeks were filled in the end of December, January, because of the popularity and the need, I guess, that's out there. Unfortunately, some of those families didn't get in. Hopefully, they're on the wait list, and we're able to get in through this stuff. But
How do cancellation like people register and then cancel, do they get their money back, or?
So it's a $10 processing fee per camper, and this is for any rec program. It's a $10 cancellation fee as long as they do it a week before. Of course, because people have registered in December and January, we have had some cancellations, certainly not enough to add all the people off of our wait list, but as people plan their summer vacations and things like that, spots do open, but certainly not enough to meet the need. So for next year, because we've seen such a large increase in our staffing. As of the last couple weeks, we're hoping to add our Harris Whalen Lodge, which could have about 40 to 50 kids there to hopefully meet that need. So again, we're continuing to expand on that based on community needs, but very fortunate and thankful that we're able to add at this point.
The reason for that question is I talked to someone who lives in another town, and the cancellation fee was very low. And because they had no idea what their plans were for the summer, they registered their children for every single session, knowing that they were planning to cancel out of 3/4 of them.
Yeah.
But it was the most effective way to.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's always different opportunities for more of our popular programs. I don't think we're there yet. Certainly are those people out there, of course. We're happy that within the wait list we can add people off of it, hopefully more than a week before for people's planning purposes, but ultimately in the last 3 or 4 years, we haven't had any weeks where it hasn't been at full capacity and haven't been able to have some last minute people come in. So hopefully out of the 50 to 100 people on the wait list, one of them will be able to go if there's a last minute cancellation. So something to look at.
And just to clarify something, you said a resident is defined as someone who pays their town or school taxes. I assume that doesn't exclude people that are renting because they don't pay.
I think we would consider them residents, yes, if they're in the town of Penfield.
That would
Yes.
seem to be
Good
inappropriate.
question, yes. Not something we ask, but yeah, I think we would say they're a resident for that standpoint if they were renting, yeah. Cool. Good thought. So tons of great programs in here, able to register for it soon. All of the information's online as well if you didn't get a hard copy of the brochure. Some of the information, I passed out a flyer for everyone, which is our amphitheater concerts and events. Something that's not on here that's a town event that's coming up is we have our Memorial Day event that's taking place on Monday, May 29th. The ceremony is right behind us at the amphitheater, so come on out and check it out. PCTV also televises it. And then the next thing that starts our amphitheater events is our first concert, which is on June 6th, which we have Hey Mabel starting it off. And people, if you're interested in learning more, you can check your brochure or go online to the town's website where all this information is located. And then we have a food truck and music fest on Friday, June 9th. We've gotten some phone calls about some confusion because the Penfield Business Chamber is doing their PenFest event on the same evening. We didn't plan for them to be on the same evening. The June 9th Food Truck and Music Fest, we work with the school bands, and it's kind of like their last performance of the year for the school-age children, and we typically do it the first Friday, which would be June 2nd. Unfortunately, there was a class trip, and many of the kids weren't going to be able to be there, and they felt the need to move it to June 9th. So it's not a confusion. We're hoping people can go to both events. There's going to be food trucks at both events, but the PenFest event will take place at the community center's front lawn. A bunch of businesses there. I believe it starts at 4 p.m. There's more information on their website. The amphitheater event starts behind us again with school bands. We've got 5 food trucks. That starts at 4:30. So hopefully Penfield community can come out that night to both events and see some good music, see some good businesses at both locations. And then that's the rest of the events and the schedule will be available online, so check it out. Also planning for our Independence Day event. We have our parade, which kicks off from the high school in the morning. That's going to take place on Saturday, July 1st. And we're also planning for a fireworks and music and food event at Harris Whalen Park that evening, starting at 6 p.m. Fireworks are at 10 p.m. All that information is available again on our website, but those are just our large events that are kind of coming up. Any questions about Penfield Rec, information, events, stuff coming up, programs, anything like that?
That seemed to be the largest catalog that I've ever received. So I was
We're
impressed.
sorry
with
for
all
the
that.
extra weight for the,
Oh,
for the
no.
mail carrying
I was
it in,
pleased
but-
to see all the things in there,
We added
absolutely.
4 pages, so we're excited about having all those programs in there and community events as well. The only other piece that I wanted to mention from the Penfield Rec is now that our summer brochure is out there, it's crazy to think we're already starting to plan for our fall. Something from this group, as we're planning, I know we talked about it at the last meeting. If you're going through the summer brochure and you're saying, hey, what about this program and things like that, and not only from this advisory board, anybody in the community, reach out to the rec department. We want to hear from the community about what programs you'd like to see. I don't think a lot of people think on our timeline in terms of we are already starting to plan our fall brochure and reaching out to instructors. And most of our brochure is completed by the beginning to, or the end of June and middle of July to get out in August for our fall, which is September to December. So we're already planning that stuff now, so reach out to us with any thoughts, comments, additions to programs. Again, it's always based on if we have facility available at the community center or if we have outside organizations to do it. So I know I'm going to meet with Sri and we're going to talk about some data that comes in, but of course any input from the community or this board is greatly appreciated. So feel free to reach out to me anytime. All right, moving on to 2024 Parks and Recreation Master Plan. I know I mentioned it earlier, but the Penfield Recreation Department is accepting applications or applicants' resumes until May 22nd. Of course, we're looking for one person from the advisory board to be on those monthly meetings, but if anybody is interested, please send your resume to recreation@penfield.org as an email, or you can drop it off at the rec department anytime during the week or on weekends. We have recently, starting on May 1st, we've changed our building office hours to 8:30 to 4:30 to match town halls. We've seen some people coming in early before work and things like that. So, just within the week, we've seen some good signs of that. But also, we've added evening and weekend part-time staff. So at the community center now, there is a dedicated recreation part-time staff who is able to answer phone calls, questions, assist people with registrations, facility reservations. If you're in the community center and you have a question, from 4:30 to 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday, we have a rec person there. And then on weekends, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., we also have a rec person on Saturdays and Sundays. So reach out to us, any questions where before we only had office hours 9 to 5. We're really happy to expand our customer service for people in the community. So reach out anytime and someone will be able to assist you.
Were those new hours included in the brochure? Probably not, because
I
it wasn't-
they bere.
Oh, okay. I
Actually,
didn't think to check that.
I think we were close enough where we kind of had decided on here. Let me see. They are included on here Monday through Friday, yeah, as our office hours. We didn't include the community center extra one on there as well, though, but that has been on our social media and all that stuff. Good question.
And when do you want the board to ramp up? So you're taking resumes, you'll
It's
interview?
until May 22nd.
Yep. And then what's your vision for when you would?
We would start meetings hopefully as soon as the end of May or early June, just to have that monthly meeting, and then eventually plan to show the board early 2024 to get approval for the Parks and Rec Master Plan. For
Would it
this,
follow the same format that the current master plan is in and just need some fine tuning?
yep, we did not have a consultant come in for our last one 5 years ago, and we really liked the structure, so we're hoping to keep the same structure.
Yeah.
Where we focus on, I think, 5 or 6 different elements in regards to Parks and Recreation, but certainly need to update a lot of that information with Shadow Pines information, community center, dive into that a little bit more. Certainly, the town's growing, Penfield Rec updates as well in terms of our registration information. COVID's going to hit a little bit of that, but ultimately see some of the growth and things like that. But yeah, hopefully keeping the same structure,
Good.
updating a lot of the information.
I thought it was fine.
having some
It
community.
needs some refreshing, was my opinion.
Yep. Like I mentioned last week, like Harris Whalen Park, it was recommended that the lodge gets AC. We put AC in there, so we can cross that off, and if there's anything else for Harris Whalen or anything like that, we can add that to the list.
Yep. Good.
Just a little updating on, like, the parks end of that stuff.
And ultimately, the master plan is what's going to guide, the Parks and Rec department. So it is a major tool that we use for our departments and staff, just looking to our goals and objectives for not only 5 years, but also down the road and in future years. So we're excited to be updating that as well. Any other questions on Parks and Rec Master Plan? All right. For an Eagle Scout project and other business, I know we had a presentation last time from Chris McCusker that was talking about the 4 Mile Creek footbridge. He's continuing that project. His brother, Matt McCusker, is planning to build a new kiosk at the Shadow Pines property. It's going to be on the north side, located towards the 18th disc basket,
yeah.
and where the cross-country meet ends. That information will be disc golf related, cross-country, skiing, cross-country running, stuff like that information. It should be wide enough for people to be able to sit if they want to change skis or gather information, hang up some stuff. So we're excited for that to go in. Should be in 2023. Matthew Gressock is the Eagle Scout that is working to build a disc golf display kiosk at Shadow Pines on the disc golf hole number 1. Hopefully this spring, that's when that gets taken care of. Nathan Chidsey has created an orienteering course at Shadow Pines property on the north side and the south side. I believe the last update we got was he has ordered all of the stakes that are going to be going in. He's already come up with a map, so we're hoping in the next month that should be established, and we'll push out there via social media and in the kiosks there more information about that orienteering course. So we're excited for that. Brandon Cordy is going to build a new kiosk at the Veterans Memorial Pond Overlook, which is located behind us. Connor Jancic is currently building garden beds at our Penfield Community Garden, Children's Garden.
Okay.
Oh, any updates?
Nope.
Okay. I know that when we had our Terry Rothfuss Good Neighbor Day this past Saturday, that event went well, where we have volunteers go out in the community and people that are in need for their yards to get general landscaping and things like that. Our department kind of sets that up. We work with Browncroft Community Church to have an event at Rothfuss Park. It was very successful because we had really nice weather. But driving by the community garden, I know that they were working on the children's community garden that's going to be newly established there. And I know Tim and the Parks department were just over there. So hopefully that unveiling is going to come soon in the spring or summer for having programs out of that children's garden located behind the main garden beds. And then the last Eagle Scout community project is Marco Costanzo. He is currently building 3 display cases for our tennis/pickleball courts, one for Harris Whalen, one for Veterans Memorial, and one for Greenwood. When someone wants to reserve tennis courts or pickleball courts, they do that through an application form through the rec department. There's a fee for residents and non-residents that they pay. But ultimately, at this point, we are laminating sheets of paper that say this is when this is reserved, and we're basically just attaching them to the fenced area. Mm-hmm. This project, since he's creating display boards, it's basically a kiosk that we can hang on tennis courts to help kind of communicate this is what's taking place when it comes to rec programs, but also when pickleball groups have tournaments or tennis programs or people are doing that kind of stuff. So we're excited for that to be going in.
Is there any way to digitize that?
When it comes to the tennis court reservations, athletic field reservations, the disc golf, we're currently looking into our rec track system to be able to have a viewable calendar online. We're not there yet because a lot of the pieces are still being tweaked out about how to display it. Currently, we have all of our lodges and open shelters around there. And unfortunately, the system, if you're going in to reserve a lodge right now, there's 5 or 6 options to choose from: Dolomite, Harris Whalen, the open shelters. If we add 20 fields to that and, 10 tennis courts, it's going to jumble it up. So we're working out some of the logistics to make it kind of easier to view. We've also communicated with the school district as well to maybe have a joint kind of communication through that for it, but we're not there yet. Hopefully
Hopefully soon, because I think it'd be, neat to
Totally.
kind of
I know.
Reserve spots.
Yep. I don't know if it would be reservable online. It would be more of a viewable.
Yeah,
thing
because
at this
I
point.
understand it. You won't be able to integrate if you have just a,
Plus, we need
a hard
insurance when it comes to that stuff as well, so I think most of it would be viewable. But even that, like you said, for the public to know, okay, on this field tonight or this court, or at Shadow Pines, the disc golf is reserved for a tournament coming up. I think that's what we're kind of looking for that software to be at the moment. Maybe down the line we could reserve it, but again, those extra pieces we would just have to kind of work out.
It would be a great tool just because most of all of our fields, unless they're reserved, they're first come, first serve. So like if you could check it online, say like, okay, I'm not going to go there tonight, I'm going to go to Greenwood instead. So something good down the line.
And we do currently, with our sport groups, have a Google document that is essentially sort of that schedule. But again, it changes so much, and there's always tweaking to that certainly we don't want that to be out and viewable to the public of who's reserving it and when. The rec track system hopefully would just be like a block showing that someone has reserved it. So working on it, but yeah, something that definitely would be assisting a lot of the questions that we get at the rec department and parks department to assist people at any point to go in and check that out. So we're working on it.
Hey, Andrew. After the last meeting, I was curious because there was a few parks in the area I hadn't checked out. So I had an opportunity to go out to Sherwood Park and rode my bike out there. One thing I noticed, I don't know if we're looking for Eagle Scout projects or something that could be recommended for other Eagle Scouts, how they come to us.
Totally.
But the information board at Sherwood Park is pretty well beat up.
Yep.
Even hard to read the maps. And that might be a really interesting refresher for an Eagle Scout project.
I think that's perfect timing because Tim and I this morning, for a couple hours, went around to all of our kiosks and did an inventory. We had previously done one 2 years ago to recommend Eagle Scout projects. The one that you mentioned at Greenwood has a crack in it. We updated some of the information today with just some general rules, but we did just go out and identify, I think that one, LaSalle's Landing was another, Channing Philbrick. So yeah, totally, Eagle Scout projects we're
They
looking
seem like
for.
a great fit for that, right? So.
And I think with some of our displays, as Tim and I found out today, some of them are older and you have to, bring a screwdriver and untwist it, and it takes a lot of mechanics to get that stuff out. It might even be an Eagle Scout or a Parks Department project to the newer kiosk that we've had Eagle Scouts make. They'll put a display opener with a lock, which makes it easier for us. We just open up and update information. And we know from Trails Committee and from the Rec Department, information moves so fast nowadays that having that easy access to update trails information for our guided hikes and things like that, we're looking to update all those. So we did just go around today and update most of them with, again, general rules, but some of the more washed out trail maps and burned out from the sun, hopefully we're working on.
It's a nice park. It was a nice little bike ride through there.
It is beautiful out there.
Yep.
All right, we don't have any held items, old business or new business. Does anybody have anything else for the committee or?
I was curious, we've been, the town in general has been talking a lot about the north side of Shadow Pines and all of the development there, but what about the south side? And I don't want to call it development because it's not really developing, like bulldoze down kind of thing. It's more like gain use out of it. So I know like on the website there's overlay maps from probably when Shadow Pines Committee initially came up and solicited ideas. Those are getting a couple years old. What are really the next steps there as far as determining use and applying use and making it happen? Obviously I like mountain biking, but there was a little spot allocated for that. But I'm talking about in general, like. Is there going to be, are we relying on the old cart paths and just keep going on old cart paths for foot travel, or is it going to be centered kind of trails?
So right now we do mow the sides of the cart paths and we do connect them to the other cart paths when there's the big long stretches of grass. Every once in a while it's a process called wander mowing where couple years, we would have the path go, to the left, we'd go to the right. But people are the best maker of trails. They just go where they want, and we usually just follow that. And that's usually what we do there. We are going to try to implement, starting this year, a smart mowing plan on the south side, as far as mowing sections of it every year, so it's not completely cut down every year. So every other year, we would cut down half of it, and then the other half, so that would help promote wildlife and that kind of thing. So right now, we're in the works. We have the orienteering course going in there. The paths are going to be mowed, and then just hopefully the mountain biking and all that.
I think for a lot of the things that we've discussed at trail meetings before, and from Tim and I from the Rec and Parks, is because it's ongoing and things are continuing to go in there. Obviously, the trails systems are going to be needed to update to get to a mountain bike course or get to different areas. So we haven't formally, from the Trails Committee side of things, wanted to have a dedicated trail system in there yet. So we have relied more on the walking cart paths and things like that. Right. I do think, once the disc golf gets established, if other things on the north side and south side are established, then, once it gets a little bit more close to, not 100%, but getting at least a lot of the areas developed, like you said, at least a plan for them, then we would connect a trail system and have an actual system in there that makes sense for getting to specific areas and connect. So we're not there yet. We're kind of just waiting as things move forward and get established.
Is the only official parking for that up off of Clark Road and where Clark and Whalen, or down a little bit south where there's...
I know
So
where the
that
south part
there are some people that use that maintenance barn.
Yeah.
Not that we try to shy people away from that, but there's still a lot we use those as a lot of workways to get into there. So sometimes they block our pathways. We can't get back there to, clean up felled trees, that kind of stuff. But officially, the only one with technical parking spots is on the north half.
Okay.
And I do think, moving forward when it comes to Shadow Pines, we're obviously discussing mountain biking and disc golf and things like that. I do think that as an advisory board, advising the town board and assisting, future plans, if they come up, would probably come to this board and have those discussions and get input as well as from the community. But now I think, although it's a couple years old, like you stated, those plans, I do think those are still what we're kind of going off of, just to say, hey, this is the plan that group made. Obviously, it's not 100% set in stone, but moving forward, that's the plan we're going on and seeing what goes in there.
Have there been any further discussions with the GROC group? Just ongoing in background?
We've only had the initial meeting that we talked about last meeting, just to talk about, hey, what's the relationship going to be? I think similar to what the relationship we have with disc golf. We're looking to mirror that with working together and just making sure that both sides have input. And I know that after that discussion, the thought was to go more of a professional developer to look at coming up with the plans and the designs for it. Not just Grok, and certainly not the town of Penfield, to design these trail systems. We haven't had a follow-up meeting yet. Certainly looking to have one of those this summer. We even talked about at the meeting of maybe just meeting out there and doing a walkthrough. If something like that is established, my hope would be is, as long as Grok would be comfortable, we could have members from here come out as well and give their input, but still just very initial stages of that conversation with them. But I know they're very eager and ready to go. It's just, other parts are moving on the north side as well, so we don't want to have too many things going on and not getting things done over there.
I did have someone say to me something sort of surprised me. I kept thinking the cart paths were nice to have, or maybe help people who have mobility issues. But some people said to me they really like the cart paths because they feel safer from ticks, not having to walk on the grass. So
Oh, that's a good point.
I hadn't thought of that one. So
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
And that's why we do try, ticks are a problem around here. We know that, and they're all over the place. That's why we try to get out there and mow the paths every, 2 weeks to 3 weeks to keep the trails down, at least on the side of the, the main paths, and widen out the grass paths.
Curiosity question, there seems to be a new bridge built over down in the creek in Shadow Pines. Is that town doing or residents?
Down back behind the,
Well, no, way down,
so we replaced, the Parks Department replaced the boards on the bridge behind the maintenance barn. If there's a new one,
no, I'm talking about probably west and south of there, down where there's the paved part that goes down.
yep.
By the
And
other
that-
bridge?
And then heading toward Panorama Trail.
So that's not that it's a goofy area, and I can't remember looking at the GIS. There's property lines are very close to that creek right there, so it might not even be on Shadow Pines.
So it wasn't your
property.
doing, I guess.
It wasn't our doing.
Okay,
No.
interesting.
Is it a good-looking bridge?
To be honest, I haven't
yes.
gone down that close to
Okay.
it.
If it was us. If it wasn't,
Well played.
And I do know, just in the initial meetings with Grok, with a lot of that area, earmarked for mountain bike, the hope would be to create, access from those areas, whether it's a bridge or something like that. If someone went in and did it on their own, it is what it is. But I do think there'll also be other access points from different locations on that south side to try and get into neighborhoods or other trails connecting into that via easements and things like that. So we are looking to potentially do that, but it doesn't sound like we were the ones that did that one at this point, so.
yeah, that wasn't.
I have two questions. Andrew, this is just a follow-up. Last meeting, you shared just some updates about your recruitment for the summer. How is that going? Do you still have positions?
It's going well. Like I said, for summer camp, I think we were looking to hire about 12 new staff. And we just wrapped up last week with interviews and, barring making sure that they go through the background check and the screening and stuff like that. Hopefully, all the conditional offers that we put out there work. We recently had staff go to the Penfield High School job fair, which was last Friday. So unfortunately, we wrapped up with a lot of our interviews, and we're still continuing to get applicants generated from that job fair, which is a good thing to have more than you need. But we're doing pretty well in recruitment. Like I said, we're able to add more summer camp, our youth soccer referees, our aquatic staff, because we're going to have summer aquatics that we haven't had in the last couple of years, ever since COVID. So we're doing pretty well for that.
Awesome, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Oh, of course. And for the Trails Committee, this will always be a question I ask anyone. Do you track any form of data in terms of who goes on, like the number of people that show up on treks with you? I'm just trying to understand if there's anything you track throughout the year.
There's a sign-up sheet for
Okay.
every hike. People that call in ahead of time, we usually get that sheet ahead of time. But even not, we have people sign in, so we roughly know who's there.
Okay.
I'm not saying the people that sign in, their writing is legible, but we at least have a sense for the numbers.
And, yeah, we save all of that stuff at the rec department as well after it's turned in, so we do have data from
Perfect.
previous years. We do also have a service on QR codes through our Trails Passport. So people are able to go online through the QR code, and we have that data. We typically get annual data for that, just on
Okay.
who uses what trails and things like that. It's something I would like to expand on. I know we're going to meet soon just to talk about that data, so I can share more of that. But it is a company that we use that's in that trail system.
Perfect.
And located at, all of our trails in a little kiosk with a QR code.
I did hand out the schedules, but
Yeah.
if any of you have not seen the little mini trails guide, I have 3 of them. I'll pass those around. I assume you have one done, but if not, there's lots of them at the rec center.
Cool.
I'll take one.
I'll take one.
Anything else from the committee?
Oh, good.
I did, before we wrapped up, I just want to mention, because I know it was mentioned at the Trails Committee, but the Town of Penfield Parks and Rec Department lost a wonderful, wonderful community resident and staff. His name was Nels Carmen, who led the Trails Committee for years, was a part of Penfield Rotary, was a Penfield Rec staff, and considered a Penfield Rec family member. So he passed away this past month. We had a nice little celebration of life for him at the Rec department. But I just want to mention that he is missed, but we're very thankful for Bob taking over as chair as the Trails Committee, who knew Nels and are going to continue to do his mission of making trails accessible and great for the Penfield community. So just wanted to mention that before we wrapped up. I know the Trails Committee is talking about possibly doing a bench or a memorial for him.
Yeah, I'm actually meeting with Linda Cole tomorrow on some ideas between her town role and her Rotary role.
Okay.
So
That's nice. That would be a,
Linda and I are meeting at 4:30 tomorrow over at Shadow Pines to talk about some ideas.
okay. That's really nice. Thank you for heading that. Thank you. So if there's nothing else from the group, thank you all so much for being here this evening, and we will adjourn the meeting at 6:59.
If I could just say, though, I like this setup a whole lot better than the,
Okay. Thank you to PCTV and Tyler as well.
thanks.
All right, so meeting adjourned now at still 6:59. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I don't know how you get this.